The RNC kicked off tonight with the first appearance of the Teflon Don since the attempt on his life on Saturday. We now have an official nominee that he has also announced his running mate, JD Vance from the OHIO. This is on top of a ton of other stories that we're going to be covering tonight, so stick around. This is a show you will not want to miss. As far as T-Man, he announces Ohio Senator J.D. Vance as his 2024 running mate. Now, I was actually, I don't know if I was kind of caught off guard by this because everybody's been throwing so many names into the hat. Personally, a lot of people have been saying Vivek. A lot of people, I've even heard his son, which, again, I don't know if that is even possible. But there's other folks that have been kind of in that circle. I guess I didn't see JD as the one. This was kind of left field. They said it was a friend of the family. I guess he is, but he was a staunch critic of T-Man. One thing that I said on X is that I thought last time he served as president, it was like we watched. It was almost like every 3 months he had to fire somebody because they kind of, turned two-faced on him. So with that being, it seemed like almost everybody in his last presidency, it was like he was trusting or overly trusting or thinking that everybody was going to be a handshake and done deal and keep their word. But on the other hand, these are all politicians. They're basically car salesmen with a lot more money. So again, this is something that a lot of people are happy for. But on the other hand, half of the people are absolutely furious. So it goes either way. We're going to talk about this and so much more on tonight's show. So stick around. You don't want to go anywhere. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. It whizzed by, and we all know why. It was the big guy in the sky. And for those of you that don't know who J.D. Vance is J.D. Vance, and he, for some reason, he looks like a few people I know in real life. Obviously, he is not, but he just has that kind of look to him. That is J.D. Vance right there. So as far as Dex is, let's bring him in. Dex, my co-host / internet brother. You actually watched, I think you watched his movie or his documentary or something, so you know a little bit.
No, not yet. I want to. So he wrote a book, and hey, everybody, I'm doing just fine. Everybody in chat gets mad if I don't say it. But look, yeah, this guy, he's supposedly good friends with Don Jr. He went to college with Vivek. They used to watch football together and hang out in college, and he's a businessman before he was in politicians. So he was a venture capitalist, and sort of like T-Man to that point, that he, has spent all of his time as a business person, not necessarily a politician, only recently been in politics. So I sort of understand where a lot of people are coming from about the prior comments that were made, but, I guess we have to just see, because, man, there's so many of these politicians that will say whatever they need to say to get whatever position they need to get and then do what they want.
Rob Mills says his book was great. Somebody else said that notice his tie is blue. Well, I guess the only one that can wear the red power tie is T-Man, right? Maybe that's a rule. I don't know. But as far as JD Vance, also they said that he kind of had a rough upbringing, that he was raised by his grandmother, that his parents were not, the best. So, I mean, a lot of people are going to relate to that. I mean, I know I can. As far as, I think that a lot more right now, people can relate to somebody they can actually relate to. We can't relate to a congressman going into Congress complaining because they just bought a $12,000 dress and they are mad they cannot wear it on a normal Tuesday to work. For them to think that this is somebody who is supposed to be a representative of us and they're complaining about a $12,000 dress that they can't wear to work, that's a Toyota to us. That's our family transportation. That might be 3 of our family transportations for many of us. So that's how, I mean, to think that somebody like that is representing us, that has their fingertips on what we actually need, I mean, it's just BS. Like, these people, and their salaries aren't even that high. Their salaries are, abysmal compared to their actual net worth. So all of these Congress and Senate, it's like they get so much money. How? Even their speaking fees are super low compared to what their net worths are. Well, many people believe that it's trading and inside tips and all of this. We don't know exactly the formula for how a lot of these Congress and Senate get super, super rich, but most of us can really take a guess. A lot of it's probably like, hey, I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine, and then I'll give you a load of money. Something like that. Or you scratch my back, I'll just drop you a bunch of gold bars, and we'll meet up in the Cayman Islands for golf. I'm sure that's exactly how it goes in some instances. So yeah, a lot of craziness going on right now, and for this announcement to happen just hours, less than 2 days after all of that going down is pretty crazy. And then America is not ready for what comes next. Dex, do you want to talk about what Vox just put out?
Well, on the other side of the equation from the political spectrum of what happened on Saturday, a lot of people were just jumping to, we got to worry about the response. Like, what's the other side going to do in retaliation? And that's kind of what the article's about here. But there is something that was rather interesting, I thought, in here when they talk specifically about what happened in the past and talking about other countries. And they draw the correlation to when the 2 large political parties get so divided that they start to move into the realm of being violent. And they talk about the year of lead, which was in Italy. And it was roughly a 15-year period beginning in 1969 when the 2 different extreme sides had all sorts of atrocities committed upon one another, from, random boom booms being placed in places to what we saw on Saturday. And that became I don't want to call it normal, but it became a lot, and it was happening. And so the question is, and I guess some people would equate this to civil conflict. You could go that far, and some people might think of it as that. But are we approaching that, or will this be the wake-up call where we dial it back and move away from, taking this to the next level? Because if this moves to the next level, we may be moving into years of this type of activity. If that happens, that changes our homeland. It changes a lot, and we would have to prepare for that and understand what we need to do to be prepared for events like that can happen.
And I thought it was, is it years of lead or years of lead? I think is it spelled lead? It's spelled, that's one of those English words that I think is spelled exactly the same. I was thinking lead, like as in bullet lead, like years of lead, like lead being exchanged.
Possibly. I never heard of it till I read it here.
I didn't either. That's what when I was reading there, I was like thinking maybe it's lead.
I was thinking poor translation from Italian, but okay.
Years of lead or leaders, right? But that was the 15-year period beginning in 1969 in which the extreme L and the extreme right side perpetrated a spree of and taking leaders out. Now, just the fact that Vox, which is not a right-sided publication, is basically saying, oh, well, if this side does this and that side does that, is that saying that they're kind of hinting that this was a side versus a side instead of just some random guy doing something because he was really mad and pissed off at somebody? I mean, think about it. Everybody is just kind of assuming that this is something that's being done. Like, that's scary. The fact that there are so many medias basically thinking that this is foul play, that's scary. And I mean, it's definitely not as scary as if this would have went down. Right now, we would I'd probably be extinguishing my house right now, and most of you would be doing the same if he didn't turn his head. He didn't turn his head, we would have been in an entirely different place right now. I'm in Seattle, so I don't know what it would be like here, but I know that there are places in the country it would have went nuts, and everyone knows this. Honestly, the R side of it really haven't gone out and done a lot of crazy stuff. If that happened, I guarantee you things would have went really, really south. And it's not like T-Man's out of the woods. You could see the worry on it. Dex and I were just talking about this when he came out to the RNC. You could see it. Dex, I mean, you could see it, right? Like the emotion and how...
Oh, yeah. He's human.
He's coming out to this huge arena and knowing that maybe even the people closest to him may have really screwed something up or even purposely screwed something up on it, on this thing. And it's like he's probably watching his back like crazy right now. So
I will say this. I was very pleased to see that the agents surrounding him were all just as tall as he was. They were all big, burly men. And so he did have good coverage, even though he was indoors. But yes, and they were super, super engaged. Let's put it that way. But I think they always are. But yeah, man, he's got to worry about just walking through that door into that giant arena. Like what's sitting out there aside, I'm sure he's in love with the audience. He's in love with the everything that's going on with the event, but he's also got to be worried is somebody, about to hit me from behind? An inside job.
So, yeah, and by the way, I saw so many different people saying people just don't want female Secret Service. And it's like, it wasn't that. Everybody saw the video. There were 3 on one side and then 3 on the other. And I believe 2 or 3 on the one side were a good foot shorter. I don't even think it would be a problem if they were female. To be honest, if we really break it down what their job is in that moment, they're basically to be a human shield. Their heads are supposed to be the heads that go instead of his. So if you get some 6'2", 6'3" female Secret Service agents, I don't think anybody would have made a single comment. But they were a foot shorter, and if everybody's looking at it from the camera angle saying, man, if this is the bad guy, he's goners. All the cameras could see him, so cameras from down below could see him. Heck, if there was a second guy in the audience, they could have taken a second pot shot at him. And yes, we know that he purposely tried to get his fist out there, and he told them, no, because right after you hear the guy is down, they told him, bang, bang is down. Then that's when he tries to do that. So the thing is, and then everybody's made a big deal about the woman trying to get the stuff in her holster. I would say everybody looked unprepared. The 3 gentlemen, the reason I think they were prepared, though, is they've been Secret Service for 40 years. I think that a good chunk of those Secret Service, whether female or male, were brand new. You also saw a guy on the right side of the stage. If you're looking at the stage, there was 2 guys who ducked down. They didn't run right to the president. their first response was to get down. And I don't think that was normal. I don't think that was supposed to be their response. There's a new angle from behind that actually shows a gentleman who gets down and is, you think maybe he's doing it but so he doesn't get in anybody's view, but that doesn't really make sense. They're usually like, you look at me and you go around me. I'm Secret Service. Not, oh, I'm sorry for ruining your show, like it's a movie theater. But they tell two people to come on over, and if you haven't seen that clip, I'll tweet that out. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and let's not forget, as we reported last night, they say that Jill had her own event going on, and they had moved some of the primary agents to that and put in sort of the second string or the third string or the temporary agents in on this to cover the Dawn. So yeah. That could have very well been what we saw.
Now, Dex, they also, a Florida judge dismisses the T-Man classified documents case, which this, out of all of the ones, I think most actually agree with this ruling. So do you think this is because of what happened that they're all giving leniency?
Yeah, I don't know if the timing of this had anything to do with Saturday or not. It's interesting that it happened right after, but the main precedence for this was the Supreme Court ruling that came out. So the whole point was, okay, well, now that the Supreme Court said, you can't go after him for stuff he did while under the presidential authority, then that sort of throws this one out. The interesting thing is Jack Smith's still going after it. He's going to find any way he can to appeal it and run it up. So it may not be over yet, but I know this was sort of a big win for many people. And it just, a lot of people are looking at these things and saying, wow, is the tide turning? Are there things happening that are all lining up? Certainly could look that way. And take it for what it is. We're just telling you what's happening.
Exactly. I mean, this is going to play a big part in whatever happens next. Which, mind you, that there is a lot of talk about civil conflict, and the one thing that I would say to everybody in the Fugel fam, there are a lot of military members here, and a lot of them have been on guard for about 4 months now, like hardcore. After this event, I would think that most people are kind of woke up by now to the point where they're thinking about having, backup plans for pretty much everything. If you're not, then I would highly suggest it, and don't do it in a crazy fashion. Don't go sell your house and live in a hole in the ground. Not yet, anyways. I would highly recommend, though, you have extra food, extra water, and you get yourself a basic plan. Now, we're going to talk about what happened in Texas and what Houston residents actually think happened in their area. But before we do, make sure to go check out marfugelnews.com/EMP. Again, this is a device that can protect you against not only an EMP strike from an adversary, whether it be North Korea, Russia, Iran, or China, but it can also protect you against a Carrington-level event from the sun. Now, a Carrington-level event from the sun will happen at some point, hopefully with whoever is in office. They finished the executive order that T-Man actually did when he was last in office and actually enforces it, because that executive order was supposed to harden our grid. Our grid is still extremely vulnerable. It is old. It is dated, and it could be knocked down in its entirety by a solar event or even a very simple attack compared to most attacks, which is an EMP right over the middle of our country. One nuke detonated at the right height above our country could knock out our entire grid. If our grid gets knocked out in that fashion, it could take anywhere from 12 months to even over 2 years to get back on. If you want your own stuff to run, including your vehicles to get home to bug in or to get out to bug out, then I'd highly recommend taking the 10 minutes it takes to actually put this on your car and get one. You get it $50 off with our code, which is code MARF at marfugelnews.com/EMP. Not only do you get a discount, but you're helping support independent media. Thank you guys for doing so. It's going to get even crazier in the next 4 months. So thank you, everybody that has stood by our side every second of the way. Thank you more so, though, for sharing our show out. We appreciate it. Thank you, everybody that's been sharing us out. Thank you. A lot more people have been sharing us. So thank you. That really does help us with the algorithm. It helps us with everything. All right. And then this is bizarre. Okay. So Hurricane Beryl, am I saying that right? Beryl. Hurricane Beryl, which we actually followed when it was a Category 5 out in the water. By the time it hit, it was only a Category 1. And in Houston, people say not only are they still out of power, but a lot of their devices are not working to this day. Dex, this is absolutely bizarre. They actually think that they were hit, and this is their claims. This is actual citizens and residents saying that they believe that they were hit with some sort of EMP. There's no confirmation of this, but there's a lot of claims.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, they're feeling the effect of not having the power come back. They're feeling the effect not only that when they turn on a generator, their refrigerators aren't working. Their other technology that may be in the house, other, whatever, maybe a freezer or something else that they want to run, it's not working. And something happened when the power went out that caused the things that were plugged into the power to get destroyed, which is exactly what happens in an EMP. That's why, when you protect your home, you're shunting that power to protect everything that's plugged in so that when you do want to turn power back on, you have it. So they're running into this and they're saying it feels like that. And it's come up. I mean, they're literally using the Whataburger outage map to determine where they can go to find some electricity. Like if Whataburgers are online or available, they know that there's electricity there. That's pretty sad, and it's still going on. So yeah, the power outage is a big deal, but it has come up, and it's so much so that they've actually written an article about it, and people have been talking about it on TikTok and other locations about how they feel like somebody detonated an EMP. But again, there's no proof of that. That's just the claims. It's just, I think it's more of a feel-like thing than it is an actual thing. But at the same time, you never know, because like we're dealing with something that shouldn't have happened. A Cat 1 is not unnormal there. It's not uncommon. They've had hurricanes there before. They've had bigger hurricanes there before, and they don't typically see this kind of outage last this long, and have sort of the effects that they're seeing right now from something like that.
Yeah, as far as it said, this has caused some to crack. See specifically that the hurricane and resultant damage were a result of an electromagnetic pulse, or EMP. In fact, in a video with over 222,000 views of Saturday, it's actually higher now. TikTok user Walter Bay explains that while he's used to hurricanes, this one felt different. Equipped with a ham radio, the TikToker suspects that something else is afoot. Quote, "I suspect we were hit with an EMP," he says near the beginning of the video. "I went all around town helping our family yesterday, and power outage is far more than just a normal Category 1 that I've ever seen." And they are noting that my garage door opener, deep freezer, and my computers are all dead. He also states that he has been able to pick up signals from much further away than one would expect. I can't say for sure, but it don't seem like no regular hurricane hit. Now, I also wonder if that could be something electrical from the hurricane, or something that happened, or something that got sucked up. I don't get that. But why would you hear signals from further away than normal? Is that because everything is so dead that there's no interference? Is that why? Do you know the theory on that? Why? Because you can hear stuff that's farther, that's why they think that something like that would happen? If anybody in the chat knows either too, chime in.
Yeah, I'm not sure, other than just the atmosphere. The ionization of the atmosphere would ring like a bell during an EMP, but an EMP would be, for it to have that kind of effect, would be a lot higher, and it would not just be Houston. It would be a lot more. It would be, half of the U.S.
Yeah, whatever happened, it's
but there
weird.
are EMPs that can be lower. I'm not saying that. I mean, there certainly could have been, some other device that went off if they literally think that. But I like your theory about, is there something about the storm, something different? Because we've been talking about these storms that they seem different, and I know a lot of people are thinking, that whole idea that maybe there's something behind them that's causing them to be different. Well, what if what that is doing something? Right? So maybe the creation of this is causing a different effect than we've ever seen.
I also thought of the movie Twister with Helen Hunt. It was Twister, I believe that was the movie where they threw the jimmy-rigged like tin can sensors into the hurricane or into the tornado, and it spun around and they got the readings. That was Twister, wasn't it? It was one of the
Yes.
tornado movies. And it picks up all of the things. What if somebody made a homemade EMP and left it in front of a tornado or a hurricane? Like put it outside right where the wind is coming, and it blows up in the middle of a hurricane or something, or gets swooped up into the hurricane. Because we know that people can, with the right equipment, make their own smaller ones. It's just weird that all of the stuff they're saying is dead. Like all of the equipment, the appliances, things like that. Stephen McMahon says the choice of JD Vance doesn't make any sense either. All of his statements have been anti-Orange Man. That's what I first thought. And I thought that what I remember is covering JD Vance making all of these negative comments about T-Man. And I was thinking, is this going to be a replay? Like he kept picking people. Well, his first time around, he didn't know what he was doing as far as he wasn't a politician. All of these people probably really seemed genuine. I mean, there's a lot of people in Washington that I'm sure the reason that they are where they are is because in their respective state, they are good at shaking people's hands, looking them in the eye and saying like, I'm going to really work hard for you, and really being genuine. The second that they get behind closed doors, they're doing whatever they can to enrich themselves. They will totally screw an entire union. They'll screw an entire part of the town. If somebody scratches their back and they scratch theirs. So I bet he went in and all these people seemed extremely genuine, and he's like, I've got a good sense of who's genuine and who's not, but he's never dealt with politicians on this level before, where 9 out of 10 are really, really good at seeming like they are genuinely good people with, all of them have some sort of like podunk backstory, like, oh, I'm from a hard-working, good family. I'm from a military family. Almost all of them have one of those stories. Otherwise, they don't make it. They all have some sort of like amazing story, because out of 1 out of 10 kids in the even growing up, these kids are at boys and girls clubs and stuff, and that that are going to go somewhere. They all have this story growing up. And they all end up being politicians. They all got that backstory, whether it's, the regular Joe Schmo from Pennsylvania, from the, family has millions of dollars in ketchup, this or that. They all have a backstory. So I just think I thought it was a weird choice too. I did not see it coming, and I didn't know that, because all of the rumors said that it was a friend of his family's. I guess since he's turned back into an ally, that, he's now a friend of the family, friend of his sons. And then Old Combat Vet says main detachment of SS went to First Lady who was in Philly. Main detachment of SS, Secret Service, went to First Lady. Yes. Yeah, Old Combat Vet, we covered that yesterday. They went to Jill. That's what they said, at least. So... But was it the people that were watching that building? Now they're the New York Post. Is it the New York Post? Is that what it is? The New York Post just came out with information that in the same exact building that the guy was on, that there was a counter team in that building. I don't know if that is true or not, but that's what we were seeing today, and it was supposedly coming from the New York Post or New York something. I know it wasn't the New York Times. But thank you, Old Combat Vet. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you, Stephen McMahon. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you, Ilea, for being here. I saw you in the chat earlier. Thank you so much for modding. Again, make sure to go check out marfooglenews.com/friends. All right, and then Dex, let's talk about Russia tensions explode as the Kremlin blames NATO for the Vladimir Putin taking out plot. So another taking out of life plot, only this time on Vlad.
Well, yeah, hot on the heels. When the time is right, because it's all the talk, Russia has now jumped up and said, "Hey, we're going to accuse the U.S. of bankrolling the bid to take out Putin." So there were loyalist calls for the dictator to halt foreign trips because of supposed risk to him from the security services of America, Britain, and UKR. So this is this idea that the potential taking of leaders. It's not just here. Actually, we've covered a couple of these plots before between Russia and UKR themselves, but we're seeing the terms of this, being used elsewhere and being made important in the sense that this is a big deal to Russia because now they're having to stop certain trips because they're afraid that there's security issues because we're trying to take him out.
And as far as they're saying, if we're bankrolling it, if they're dead serious about this, no pun intended, then if this is how they're looking at it, like the U.S. is trying to take them out, that might change their decision making on a daily basis. If something happens, or maybe if there's a close call, or if there's a mistake, or if a plane is accidentally shot down over the wrong area, or a missile is shot down by the wrong equipment, something like this, maybe this will end up going into the decision making of what is going on. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And then King Charles and Queen Camilla rushed into safety of hotel after a security scare. So yet another, everybody's on edge right now, apparently. King Charles and Queen Camilla were rushed to safety after a security risk was detected during an engagement in Jersey. The King and Queen were on Weybridge Place in St. Helier during the Jersey Expo when the security alert was detected. Now, here's one thing I want to point out, that there was all these threats from I ran to the store, right? Iran and others were saying that, they supposedly had this massive, massive plot. And this massive, massive plot was that of something nationwide. We're being warned by the FBI, which, again, people don't believe this, but when they put out the official name of the person, they're like, oh, that is the person. Then I guess they're putting as much credence with these threats that they keep putting out and saying that they're worried about nationwide events coming in the next 4 months, all across the country. We've had sheriffs actually come out and say that all 3,300 sheriffs went to the White House and they told them that they're worried about local and regional events happening in all of the country. And all of a sudden we're having T-Man. What if this T-Man thing wasn't done by the people that everybody thinks it was? Maybe it wasn't a this versus that. Maybe it was an outside party that wanted to make it look like that and kick things off. And what's even crazier now is you have to fit in, everybody says MK this, whatever. Very well may be true. But now there's actual scientific evidence that China and others with neurostrike technology and other technologies and other things that they can now do where they may actually be able to control people's brains. I mean, this sounds sci-fi, but you can go look up neurostrike technology for yourself and you'll see this is now on the roster of things that the United States government and the Pentagon is worried about. So if they're worried about it and they're putting in their official white papers, then I don't have to worry about saying it like I'm some sort of nutso. Okay, it's something that they are now at least saying that they're worried about. So when this comes to it, now in Jersey, there's this event, there's this event. What if there's going to be all of these smaller events, big events that are attempted all over the place, that try to, one thing after another, try to set something off that all of us can really already see coming or worry about, and somebody is going to try to light the fire, light the match, but below everybody's toes to get it started. What if it's not the usual suspects? What if it's not the people we think it's going to be? What if it is outside nations that are trying to do this? I don't know if that's the case, but we look at all of the different options, and that this is really getting nerve-wracking. Every single day there's something else, and right before this happened, everybody was on this lull, like everybody's when the media goes in a lull, it's like riding a roller coaster. When the media tells you to be calm, you're calm. When they tell you to get freaked out, people get freaked out. You should always be on a straight line. Always prepping, never excited, never panicked. But this security risk, they were enjoying touring each of the stands when they were about to sample some Jersey ice cream. No joke. And JB was not there before their security team advised them that they had to cut the visit short. They were then whisked off, ushered towards the Palma de Oro Hotel, where they were scheduled to attend a tea party later this afternoon, but the king stopped to shake some hands en route before his security ushered him along. So the king even stopped and tried to, hey, what up, buddy? And they even, in one case, said, nope, no, keep going. So they kept it very low-key. What was the real deal behind this, I don't think we'll ever know. But keep your head on a swivel. And I'm sorry, you guys, I'm still recovering from the bad cough. It's been over a week now. I still have fevers off and on. Still have all sorts of stuff. But with the regimen I am taking, I'm past all of the joint stiffness and all that stuff, and past a lot of the worst symptoms. So thank you guys for your prayers, by the way. Thank you. A couple really sweet emails that came in, prayers for me to get better. I just can't say thank you enough for all of you that go out of your way to do that and take time out of your day to send stuff like that. Last night out of all nights, I was having a rough night, and it made my night. It like changed the trajectory of my night. So I really thank you. I know you didn't want to be called out, but you know who you are. And yeah, I just really appreciate that. And drinking water, I've been drinking the Pedialyte type things. I've been drinking, those are like freaking syrup. I really hate those Pedialyte type things, but I've been drinking that. Waters, I've been drinking like 5 of these a day. Not always Smart Water. I've also got Dasani and other water because Smart Water is just so dang expensive. But yeah, thank you guys for all of the kind words. And then NATO ally developing plan to deploy 800,000 troops against Russia. This is all sloping up, and meanwhile, people are not going to be seeing this coming, especially right now. The more and more, obviously, we have this huge event going on right now with T-Man. All of this is amping up, and in the background, most of the people we know, everybody's just kind of totally forgot about the rest of the world right now, and understandable. What is happening right now here in the United States, it's a big deal. We don't usually even talk about this stuff, but we couldn't keep our mouth quiet on this. I mean, like, this is big. This is bigger than big. This is like everybody is about go time right now. But now, all of these things we've covered, if you follow every night, you know this is just one out of 20, almost every single night, a tiny drip feed closer to World War III. And people are afraid of talking about World War III, but we're not. Dex, do you want to talk about what Germany is developing plans for?
Yeah, Germany is developing plans to ensure that hundreds of thousands of troops could move along an arterial highway transiting much of the nation in the event of a war with Russia. So specifically, they're expecting anywhere from around 800,000 German and allied NATO troops to use the ports, the highways, and the railways to head eastward if the West's simmering showdown with Russia turns hot in the near future. So the Western response force would need to be deployed along with a huge number of weapons and other equipment, around 200,000 vehicles within 3 to 6 months. Is what they're expecting to be able to move all of that in that short of time frame. So that's a pretty big deal. The A2 highway running around 300 miles from the western city of Oberhausen all the way to the outskirts of Berlin in the east of the country. It gets close to the Polish border. It would be a vital part of the mass mobilization.
Now, Germany and Poland, there are massive reports of already over the last year. There was. What was the biggest drill called? Was that that wasn't Baltic Defender, right? Was it Steadfast Defender or something 2024? It was the largest NATO drill in history to date. That drill was going on, so it was somewhat normal that you're going to see tanks and things moving around in the streets, and not too many people really worried about it, but they're still moving. They're still moving. You guys in Europe, in Poland, and in Germany, please chime in. You guys have already sent emails. If you feel like it, please go share this with the other Fugel family member in chat. Share what you shared with me. You guys are seeing the tanks on the streets. You're seeing them on the train tracks, but they're moving like you've never seen before. And that is expected. Right now, Europe is not, the U.S. is nowhere near what like Europe is. Europe is not in this zone where they've never had a war on their soil. They've had war on their soil. They know what this is like. It lasts like in World War II and in World War I. And if history repeats itself like it has been doing, you guys are going to be first. And Europe is preparing. Every country is preparing their citizens. They're telling their citizens to get prepped. They are literally helping citizens get ready for this. So now you have 200,000 vehicles in what looks like 3 to 6 months, which 3 months on the short term, that's right at October. In the middle, average would be 4 months. You've got that coming right along November, December. And 6 months puts you right at January. So, I mean, like, this is January, February. So it's like the timing of this, like, couldn't be more obvious in my mind. 200,000 vehicles are going to be moving around Germany in the next 3 to 6 months. The logistics of that, I'm sure some of you in logistics understand that. That's a massive undertaking. And the fact that they're trying to do it that fast, they're going to do it that fast. That this isn't something where they're going to be like, oh, we're 8 months behind. No, they're going to do it. And now Europeans are going to see this on the streets. They're going to see these moving around. And they're going to say, oh, it's just because of this normal. Meanwhile, Poland's already, all of these countries got dragon teeth. They've got the barbed wire. They're building big walls. They're doing trenches. They're doing these moats. And people think this isn't about to go down. I don't know what to say. And then Russia and China send multiple warships to the contested South China Sea. So now you have Russia and China drilling together in the South China Sea. Will Russia end up helping China take Taiwan? The quasi-alliance of China and Russia is holding joint naval activities in the South China Sea. China's Navy announced on Monday the Chinese Navy reported details about its fourth joint patrol with the Russian Navy since 2021 in a post on social platform. It said that the joint naval formation had entered the South China Sea via the Balintong Channel the previous day. The formation began the patrol in waters around South Korea's Jeju Island in the East China Sea earlier. The report said that they transited the Osumi Strait near Japan eastward before heading southward to the South China Sea. The U.S. Navy regularly holds joint exercises and patrolled with its allied navies in the South China Seas, but it is rare for China to do the same, as it views the contested waters as its backyard. So we just keep seeing these things that are rare and really quite unexpected, or just kind of over once in a blue moon, happening now all the time. What do you guys think about this? Do you have any inside information on this that you can share? Let me know. Adam@marfooglenews.com. Now, also remember, you can find a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we're sharing here today over on our website. When you actually go to in mere months, everything will change. We mean that. I truly believe that we are going to see a massive change, and hopefully it's not an overnight wake up to what we just had. That kind of change. Either way, if it does not, I think we are going to see crazy riots on the streets if T-Man wins. I think either way, you're going to see a big, massive ordeal. Who knows? You might actually see a more peaceful time if he does not win. But something tells me that it's about to get real spicy. But But if you want to see all of the links for today's show, go over to the website. You can not only find all affiliates, but you can also find a full source list for everything. Saw a couple of people question, where are you getting this information? Where is this article from? You have a full source list right there. It's on every single show, every single short video. All right, and then before we move on, make sure to go check out Jace. This is a great resource for you if you do not have antibiotics on hand. This is a great service that offers a telehealth appointment. It's very quick and easy. You talk to a board-certified doctor. It's a very simple appointment to do. Then they can send you something like the Jace case. The Jace case not only has a whole kit of different, all of the antibiotics names that I cannot pronounce without sounding like Dr. Kevorkian, but also you can add things on. Not only can you add things on, like parts of things I'm actually on a regimen of right now, you can add on albuterol and things like that onto it. For a small extra fee, you can add albuterol and other things like that. So again, go over and check that out. On top of this, they have another service that less people end up taking advantage of, which is Jace Daily. That's where you can get a year's supply of your regular medications, and you'll always have a year's supply. You'll have to go over there to find out more, but essentially right away, you'll get a year's supply shipped to you, and then you will have, if everything turns off tomorrow, if the lights go off, you're going to have a year of your regular medication that you absolutely need. Not all medications obviously work for this. I'm sure you're not going to be able to get certain happy medications like this, but you will be able to get a lot of the stuff that you might need every single day. If you're a caregiver, this is something you might want to think of for a family member. Go over to marfoogle.com/Jace and make sure to use the code MARF. Again, this probably won't be right for everybody, but for some, this is going to hit the spot, especially for those of you that want to have extra antibiotics. Dex, go ahead.
I was just talking to a family member about that Jace Daily, and I was explaining to him that it's really an investment when you think about it, because they had a specific thing that they take every day. And I'm like, look, you do it once. You just have to invest once. One time you get it. Now you've got your 1 year supply. You keep getting your regular regimen from your doctor, like you normally do, and you just rotate it through. So once you've made the investment, you'll always have a 1 year bubble. Take the brand new one, put it at the end of the list, take the oldest one and start using it. And you just rotate it like you rotate your food. And they finally clicked and they said, aha, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a super easy concept. I mean, if there's something that you take every day or your family member takes every day, there's a lot of different things you'll have to go there to find out which ones actually apply and which ones you can get. And it supports us. Many of my peers have said the same thing. It's been getting really crazy as far as being able to reach the same amount of people, more so than anything other than any affiliate. If you can share us out. A lot of you have been doing so, and we've noticed that. And I cannot say thank you enough. Like, you guys have kept us going through like the craziest, hardest times, through sickness and health, through huge life events. You guys have kept sharing us out, and you've kept bringing in new people, even when they're taking more than what we can bring in for no reason, frankly. So thank you guys, and much love. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Patrix. Thank you, Harley Berg. Thank you, Monk Searcher, Ryan Alter, Laura Griffith, Stephanie Colonius says, we love Foogle Fam. Well, we love you too. Thank you. Wharton Fissel, Monk, what is going on? Hey, Monk, Gasface Victim. Thank you, everybody that has just made it in and who's been here the whole time. Sleep on Wolverine Snicket, I don't know if you're out of here, but hey, thank you for being here. Saw a couple people had to leave earlier in that old school Foogle Fam, so thank you guys. And then Dex, do you want to go over the U.S. ally threatens nuclear-armed North Korea with regime destruction?
Yeah, so the South Korea has basically put down some very strong words towards Pyongyang, towards Kim specifically. And it's all about the use of nuclear weapons. Now, mind you, before these words came out, we've seen just an incredible ramp up of testing and launching of ballistic missiles. I think the last one we talked about was a hypersonic. We know that he's met with Putin. Putin came into his town, and it wasn't just about let's send the your summer camp kids from Russia to our great summer camp here in North Korea so they can learn everything they want to learn about Kim Jong-un. But that wasn't the deal. We know the deal was about weapons. We know the deal was about much more. And the South is really not having it. So they said, look, if this is their quote, they put it out, and these are just meant to be words that are strong. They said, if North Korea attempts to use nuclear weapons, the overwhelming response of the South Korea-U.S. alliance will bring about the end of the North Korean regime. There is no scenario in which the North Korean regime will survive after using nuclear weapons, the ministry added. So again, this is in combination with the U.S. because there's that alliance, but they're basically saying, hey, if you even attempt to use it, there's not going to be anything left of your regime. It's going to be completely obliterated. So pretty strong words. It doesn't do anything to bring about peace outside of peace via strength, if that works in this scenario. But what we've seen is this continuous escalation, everything from entering the DMZ, refortifying, clearing trees and making openings where they can potentially get ready for either defensive or offensive action. They've even lost lives in there because they've stepped on mines. They've had skirmishes and firefighting over the DMZ here recently. So things have been escalating a lot between North Korea and South Korea.
Yeah, it's been getting heated as far as I think that's going to be the big pop-off spot. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below or in the chat as well. And again, we just did a video over on news about this, but this is quite wild. So if you think about how a vision works or a prophecy, and you may not believe in them, or you heavily believe in visions, or you may even have them yourself. But this is really weird because she died in 1996. Baba Vanga was blind and ended up having these visions. And she ended up having a vision specifically that T-Man would get some sort of tumor and a mystery illness, and he would go deaf. And tumor. And I showed you guys earlier, there was a picture of John McCain with a big bandage on his head after he had his tumor removed. And it was, there's a very similar picture of T-Man at the RNC last night. In fact, it's right here. So you see the bandage, and you would almost think if you were seeing this 20 years ago in some sort of vision, you might think that T-Man just had a brain tumor or he went deaf or something happened, right? We all think of, who was that, who was the deaf Renaissance man that had one of his ears chopped off? Dex, do you know offhand? I'm forgetting the name, but I always think of like this kind of image, right? The bandage over the ear, and it's like if there's all these weird premonitions. Van Gogh, yes, that's it. And I was just thinking of like, this is such a weird thing. By the way, he was grazed up at the top, so that's a very huge bandage. I don't know if that's the PR team kind of just making sure that everybody remembers like this guy took on. This is definitely working wonders for his PR team. I have seen so many, there's videos everywhere. Everybody's going nuts. Comedians that normally wouldn't speak out on this are like doing sets on how they're now in his boat, and they're taking this on, and they're now, he just won, and all of this, and certain communities have now said, 50 Cent, we forgot to show you this, but 50 Cent changed his the picture behind his concert to his normal picture of the broken glass in his album cover with him all shot up and with T-Man's head. It's like this has become meme gold. This is something that's just, it's beyond. So if they're
Some are,
go ahead.
some are saying 50 Cent may play at the RNC on Thursday. I don't know. I haven't heard officially, but everybody's suggesting that's happening.
It would be so weird because Eminem, who is the exact opposite, who's just, I don't, I personally, I would have loved if he just stayed neutral on all politics and did what he did best, which is write beautiful, rhymes, and his craft is rhyming. But when they get serious and they get edgy and they basically tell half of their audience, like, F you, you can go F off. I don't know how many celebrities and how many musicians are doing this now, but it seems like all of them. I just wish they would stop. And companies that are doing this, it's all over the place. You guys know. I went through this rant the other night. Because personally, I don't want to be on either side. I don't want to be anywhere. But what's pushing me away is people saying if you go that way, F you. That to me, it pushes me further into a camp. It pushes me further in the direction of that way. I actually would consider myself, after doing research, I would be a 1960s liberal. But now a 1960s liberal is now on the right side. So it's really nuts to see that, like everybody has said, that you could stay the same. Culture has now moved, and now the bar has moved sideways. And now if you're this, now you're this. If you're this, now you're that. So with this, it's crazy. If you want to, and by the way, these premonitions, one of the craziest ones, obviously, the guy from Last Days, Brandon, he said that the guy was 3 or 4 months ago said, I got a vision from God that he was going to get grazed in his ear, and it was going to go into his earlobe. Then he said eardrum, and it hit his ear, and then he drops down on his knees, and that he has a revival, and he prays to God. There's a picture that just came out after that, even after we saw that he, of course, did this. It was down to the T. Now there's a picture that's through the Secret Service legs, and it's weird lighting, like the lighting of the sun is coming through, and it's him with his hands like this. And you just see him huddled over. Unless that's AI, and I don't think it is, it's an insane picture. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and let's not forget the first words out of his mouth. Well, not the fight, but when he acknowledged the event, he didn't say, "Hey, somebody's out to get me," and they missed. He didn't say, the point the finger at a bad boogeyman. He said God saved him. Like he chose to take the the religious part. So it kind of goes hand in hand with what the Brandon was saying there. So yeah, that's very, very interesting. He was spot on, I think, with that premonition.
Yeah, I mean it was very, very crazy. I will try to find that picture of him, and I will, if I haven't already tweeted it, I will tweet that out. Dex, do you know what the picture I'm talking about? I mean, it was.
Oh yeah, I know.
Wild.
One of the camera people caught him. They were down low, and you could see him through the legs of everybody. And it was just it was an intense picture, and he looked like he was praying almost.
You only see one hand though. But I'm thinking, why would he? Maybe it's because right after he came down from feeling his ear, but he's like this. He's crouched on his knees like this, like that. I mean, it's nuts.
Well, one of his arms is badly bruised, he said.
Oh.
And he also said that the reason he kept asking for his shoes is that the Secret Service took him down so hard they knocked him out of his shoes.
Let me get my shoes. Like, I don't want to be barefoot. Like, I think he's a man of habit. I mean, obviously he is. We know he is. He doesn't drink or smoke, and for years he's been in. He's probably. I bet he's very, happy mooded. But I bet he's got some crotchety things. Like, you take off his shoes when he doesn't want his shoes, he's gonna get a little crotchety.
Well, as old as he is, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but at his age, being thrown on the ground and huddled over by 7, 8 people, that's got to take a toll on you.
Oh yeah.
Even that alone, let alone the fact that the emotional and the mental of having a bullet whiz by your ear. But yeah, just he's probably sore.
If he wins,
Ben Gay out.
I bet you, and no matter how much of a fan you are, I bet in 4 years, I bet he might be getting close. He is a very healthy guy, but there might be the same issue with JB. If not, then maybe in the next 8 years, then he's getting up there. But who knows? He might be 90, or he might be a Jack Lemmon at 100. But who knows? It now the whole debate about older presidents. You look at JB when he first did the debates. He definitely was way better than he is now. Obviously, it was a kind of a quick decline. I mean, I've seen my own family members. We have a family member that declined almost instantly. So, I mean, you can have younger people that are in their 50s decline like that. Early stage dementia. So, yeah. Again, you can go check this video out over on Marfoogle News. If you're not already subscribed to that channel, make sure to hit the notification bell. I thank you guys, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Dex, thank you so much for everything you do tonight.
Much love. Great job, brother.
And then Old Combat Vet and Stephen McMahon, thank you. Over on D-Live, Badger 1, thank you for gifting out a badge to Unreal Steve Martin. Badger, thank you for gifting several badges out. J-Girl, that's Smee, thank you for being here. Kimbria and Poco Loco and Skyhouse and so many more. Thank you, Chance Paladin, for holding the house down over there. Thank you, Ilea. Thank you, all the mods. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It's now time for a shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shoutro. It's not a shout out. It's not an outro. It's a shoutro.